Yay!
Hello.
Awesome. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you? I've never done Instagram Live, and I didn't know that they give you like a nice little mirror check right beforehand. That's so nice. You check yourself out before you're live.
Yeah, that's good. So, how's your day treating you so far?
It's been great. I have not left my apartment, but I've been very productive at home. Some days, in between shoot days, it's nice to reset and get your paperwork figured out, do some stretching, and just get ready for some other chaotic days ahead. So it's been a good chill day.
That's good. Yeah, absolutely. Especially during like this crazy hot days, right?
Yes. Yeah. Although I've been inside with the AC, so
That's so cool. Here on my end, I mean, I don't have an AC, so it's just like, even if I stand still, you will still feel like that it's like pretty much that I'm melting, in other words. So yeah.
Oh man, you should do some hot yoga while you have.
Right. That would be cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, that sounds like a plan actually. But Kelley, thank you so much for being here at the show. What can I say? It's really awesome to have you here. Now, before we start, I have to give you an epic welcome. So, if you have checked some of my previous episodes.
I know what's coming. I'm prepared.
Okay, that's scary. Perfect. So here we go.
Thank you so much. It's the little things.
It's awesome. It's a perfect way to start. But yeah, so starting with the whole interview here, tell me how your acting career started.
So I started performing on stage as a dancer since the age of 3 years old, and I started acting in a summer camp. It was called Be a Star Camp. I remember my parents gave me one of those summer camp classifieds that has all the things, it's like space camp, all these fun things, but be a star. I was like, ooh, I want that one. And I did musicals with them. And then in college, I did some comedy sketches. I studied broadcasting, so I thought I was going to do more host-like stuff. But then when I was doing the comedy sketches, I realized that was a lot more fun for me. Even my news packages, my teachers were like, you're making these too fluffy and fun. And I'm like, okay, I think I want to make different content than the local news. No offense to the local news. But then I moved to New York City immediately after college. And I started working for this company, Elite Daily, who does comedy sketches and documentaries. And there I got to basically have the dream of creating any content that I desired, and collaborated with a lot of cool actors and comedians. So by the time I left there, I had already cast myself in a good amount of content. I was ready to go do acting. I loved producing, but it was just a lot of work for what I ended up wanting to do, which was be on camera. So for the last couple of years, I've been just saying yes to as many gigs as possible. Outside of the web series realm, I still do web series, but I did a lot more any student film with most colleges in New York City. Some local TV commercials, background and featured TV work, and so just really dipping my toes in everything. And that's where I am now. I literally just joined SAG last week or a few days ago, so I feel like now that I'm going to be part of the Actors Union, it's gonna I already have a couple different opportunities lined up that I wouldn't have just last month. So I'm really excited to see what's next, because it's not going to be what I've been doing in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. That's epic here. So you began creating viral videos, right? When writing, producing, and starring in 7 seasons of the Elite Daily's Webby nominated series. Again, why? So tell me, what are some of the best moments during that time, and what are some of the things that you learned that help you for your career later on?
So those 7 seasons, those are over the span of 3-4 years.
Wow.
And it was between working with New York City comics and LA influencers, and some comedians from LA, some influencers from New York. But it was so cool to collaborate with people who, you and I were chatting a little bit before the live, how you like doing this podcast because you're getting to collaborate with a lot of different actors and entertainers, and giving them this great outlet to talk about what they're doing. That's how Gen Y was for me. It was basically taking content that was doing well on the literary side, like if the topic like ghosting, you know, went viral, we'd be like, okay, well, let's bring that topic in. Let me reach out to some funny, witty people, see if they want to comment on it, and then we shoot them. And if they said something funny that we thought would look funny in a sketch, we would then hire actors to act it out. So one episode could include like dozens of people, and it was just, I felt very fortunate to be in a position where I could like give opportunities to a bunch of people, while also stepping in front of the camera sometimes too, and be able to play around and feel out how that side of the production was. So yeah, I would say the best part was collaborating with people, and then just learning that whole side of making viral videos. Like I felt like that was like working at that company was like the grad school of like new media. I just like ended up learning so much about analytics and you know what keeps people's attention in a short period of time, because I think that's just going to keep getting shorter and shorter for us. So yeah, just a lot about making fun videos that people like sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, even to this day, I still don't get a lot of stuff about like analytics or your core audience or stuff like that. I mean, at first, it's funny, like whenever you will start, I mean, when I started, I was like, yeah, it's super easy. But then when I started to see like, yeah, you need to check like your graphics and your analytics and statistics here, like what kind of people hear this, that at some point I was like, yeah, this is too much.
It's too much, and it's always changing. You think you know what's working, and then they throw some other algorithm in, and you're back to square one. So yeah, I think focusing on the content first, you know, and then from there seeing what is doing well, you just kind of do more of that. I think is like the direction to go in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, some of your TV highlights include HBO, Succession, Investigation Discovery, Evil Live Here, The Real Story with MES, FX, Bay or Bale, A Wilderness of Error, BET Digital's Two Grown. Tell me about your characters and what did you like most about those projects?
Yeah, so yeah, that's basically every TV role I've ever had. You know, I'm new to the TV world, and Investigative Discovery is a nice option for up-and-coming actors because it's a TV show that you can be on non-union, and you have lines and character arcs and dramatic depths. I like, I don't think I was even paid as like a stunt person, but I like ran down a mountain to my like demise. Those were a lot of fun because it was like just getting a lot to do with not as much experience. And then the HBO Succession role was really out of the blue. I was like sitting in an office where they were shooting the ATN news, and not knowing if I was going to be used or not, there for like the whole day, probably like 8+ hours, thinking I'm just going to go home and get a voucher. And then they come in like the last hour, they're like, okay, come on. And they're like, that's what you got. So it's supposed to be dressed really nicely, but like, I haven't had like a very corporate job. So I was kind of like in leggings and a blazer, and I'm like, this is what I got. And I'm like, all right, come on, that'll do. And I was like thrown into the scene with like the main characters, and you know, giving quick direction. It all started and ended really fast, but it was like a good taste of what TV and probably the smaller roles are, you know, like where you're thrown in, you're given the direction right then, you just got to be ready to do it. So that was a fun surprise. Yeah,
that's cool. And some of your recent films include Dark, Fault, Verdict Guilty. So tell me about those films and what can we expect to see on those? Yeah,
so that first one, it took me a while to know how to pronounce it too. Gerdak is the name of this spaceship. It's a sci-fi movie. I play an evil queen.
Okay.
And I've actually been talking to the director lately because we shot this a couple of years ago, about probably a year before the pandemic started. And so I hadn't heard from him in a little bit. And, you know, sometimes you do projects and you're like, okay, well, if it ever comes out, it comes out. You know, you kind of just forget about it and keep going. But he just emailed me this past week saying that the movie is done, and they sent it to like lawyers, you know, doing the stuff that's like afterwards to get it approved, and shooting for a premiere next month. So a long-awaited Gerdak might come out in a month or two. So
that's so cool, and we have you the exclusive. There you go.
Yeah, that is exclusive. I have not said
there
that.
You go. That's what this show is all about. We get all the exclusives here, you know. That's how we do here.
Yeah, you got it out of me.
There you go. That's so awesome. Yeah, and the fact that you can be like in this sci-fi project, you can be like the evil queen. That's cool.
Yeah, you know, it was in a really cool studio. It's called Butter Tree or Butter Hill. I think like one of those is a cookie brand. I'm not sure, but whatever one's not is a studio in New Jersey, and it was so cool because it was just a multi-level green screen room, and the production or the art department did like amazing job putting together the props. Like we had like because I'm like the queen of the spaceship. I have like my big spinning wheel, and we had that whole thing in the levers. We had so many things to play with, but not the actual background, you know, of space, of course. So it was really cool to have these larger than life props to work with, but then also have to imagine like literally an entire universe.
That's so awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. To be honest, if I was there, I mean, I would be just playing around. Like, that's so cool. You know, like
I know. I'm like
20
secretly
minutes, I
taking
would be
selfies. I'm like,
just seeing everything. You know, like that's so awesome. Yeah. And like it's amazing, right? Like how technology is these days that they will create this cool, amazing world out of nowhere. You know, that you will be that whenever you will be that you are recording or making it. You don't see anything. You just see like a regular set. But then later on when you see the movie, you will see like this amazing universe and world. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that because I've just been learning in acting class like that the main thing we have to do with our imagination is to create 3D images. You know, you can't just like think of a school like a two-dimensional, you know, generic school you'd see in like coloring book. It's like, no, what's a school that you like know where you went or something, where you know it very well. You can see the landscaping around it, you know, the inside, you know, so like you do, no matter what, if there's a green screen or if you're really there, you have to create your own worlds for yourself. So
that's so cool and badass as well, by the way.
Thank you.
Now tell me how you prepare to play a character.
Well, I'm learning my process as we go, but I think it's starting to streamline. So I'll usually, of course, read the script quickly one time through just to get a general sense of it. And then I pretty quickly dive into wardrobe and props because I'm such a physical person. Like, I just, creating the environment, you know, let's say it's like something, my latest scene in class is from Mad Men, and that's in like 50s, 60s-ish. And so like I just started putting on my vintage jewelry, you know, to like get into the role, like not have a glass of whiskey, but like, you know, something here to like classy drink to sip on it. I like immersing myself in physical stuff. And then when I start going through the script, I start going through it really slowly and really meticulously. What makes me feel like I'm making headway is I'm like always have a highlighter and pen in hand, you know, and it's just I'm looking for clues the whole entire way, or highlighting things that are interesting to me. Because then if I flip back, I'm like, maybe I'll find new things, or maybe you know, it's interesting that what popped out to me one day, and then the next day I read it and something else pops out at me. So maybe that day I do a different highlighter, and I just by the end of it, my scripts, like no one can read them but me. But I think that's part of becoming the character, you know, just like totally messing it up and touching it all over and making it my own, because that's what I've learned acting is. You know, I thought originally this could be like fun escapism, you know, like play something totally different from yourself. But I noticed when I started doing that I would play a really removed version of this person, you know. I'm like, oh, like this, like let's say it's like a bitchy party girl or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that might be my typecast, or it was at one point. And so I would be just, you know, playing like what I think this person is, and like when you actually are that person, like you don't think you're a bitch, like you don't think you have a party problem, you know? And we have all, or at least I've been in somewhere in, you know, in these circumstances. And so, you know, every character, if it's written good, should be universal in some ways. You know, that's what makes the audience connect to them. So it's like you have to connect to them first. And so now that's what I try to do.
That's even more badass. Let me tell you that. That's really cool. But yeah, it's true. I mean, it's. I mean, for me, it's so interesting the fact that you can, like taking aside like yourself and put a Leia and pretty much put like this personality of this character that you're gonna play, and you pretty much are gonna be that person and think also as that person. So I mean I think that process is very creative and at the same time interesting, because basically you are pretty much taking aside from yourself for a bit so you can be this new character, and also you need to make it real so then the audience can kind of identify or really enjoy about that character, you know?
Yeah, how I've been thinking about recently is like everybody has their safety vest of like what protects them, you know? For me, sometimes it's humor, or like before a show, I'm always like nervous laughing. I'm like, I'm actually terrified while this is happening.
Yeah.
So we all have our things, or I'll twirl my hair. I try not to, but like, you know, I have my little things that like keep me safe or whatever. And I think that's like what a character is about, is like taking off your safety vest. So now you're like this vulnerable being, like it's still you. Yeah. But now you're picking up, oh, what did they use? Do they use sarcasm? Like I just did a role recently that she used sarcasm as her like safety vest, and like I'm not a sarcastic person, so like it was like relearning, you know, oh, this is what she does when she feels threatened, you know, like lean on that instead of lean on what I normally would. So that's how I like to think about it imagery wise.
And what do you think it's important for young new actors to know when they just recently starting acting?
Well, probably that if you're doing it right, you'll like always feel new. Like I think, you know, even though it seems like I have a lot of experience, it's dabbling in a lot of things, you know, and I do that on purpose. Not that I get bored with different aspects, but I just want to keep learning new things, you know. In different medias. I've always just been interested, like as far, you know, as storytelling, you can, as an actor, tell a story in a billion different ways now, you know, like we're talking on Instagram Live, we could like do this on like 14 different platforms. Like there's so many ways to tell a story, and it's really about making this fun and enjoyable, you know. Like it's a tough career, and no one's gonna like make it easy for you, you know. You're gonna have like supporters and great opportunities come your way, but like there's gonna be a lot of time in between those opportunities where there's an opportunity to doubt yourself, you know. So like, or to get unmotivated. And what I found keeps motivating me is taking classes and working on, like I've been working on one monologue for over a year in class, and like you would think that's tedious, but it's such a fun monologue that like it feels like euphoric every time I'm done with it, you know. It's like a lot of moving around and ups and downs, and I don't necessarily even do it in a lot of auditions. It's just something that's keeps my curiosity going with acting. It's just like a good vehicle to be like try the different things that I'm learning. So as long as you keep setting up something that you're excited for, even if you're not getting paid for it, let's say there's a dry spell of gigs, then like okay, perfect opportunity to work on your own script, or you know, maybe start taking classes again, or you know, it's not about the gigs you book, you know. People on the outside, that's what it's about. They're like, oh, you know, what's your latest thing, or what were you in, what can I see you in? And it's like, you know, sometimes you're not going to always have an answer that you're super excited about. So it's always good to have your own exercises and projects that you can that are always keeping you excited, I think.
Wow, that's deep. Yeah, but that's true.
Yeah, I got real deep.
Yeah, but that's true. Actually, that's really cool. And what do you think is the key for a good storytelling?
I think I'll piggyback a little bit off of that last thought in the way that if you're not, if it's not important to you, it's not going to be important to anybody else, you know, like, or when you're talking about the characters, if you don't love the character, it's going to be hard for someone else to love the character. So when it comes to a story, you know, I have like a billion short film ideas that I want to make, but there's one that keeps coming back around, you know, that like keeps up on my mind, and I'm like, okay, well, if this is a story that throughout the years, even though it's been sitting in my Celtics app, that like I've been wanting to tell, like that must be that says something, you know, that's so important to me. So I just am more confident than when I put it out there, that I'm not the only one that's gonna think that this was a great story. So I think, just being engaged in what you want to tell is definitely number one.
That's awesome. And tell me about HV Studio. I mean, what are some of the things that you learned and that you enjoyed during like that process?
So I literally learned everything I know about acting at HV Studio. Prior to that, you know, I did a lot of work, and I learned a lot about how to create videos, but my acting was more indicating like emotion. You know, we needed a quick result, you know, so it was just like, we need this, we need to be surprised, act surprised. And once I stepped into that studio, literally after the first day, I had the thought of like, I'm so embarrassed that I've done so many videos and not known like this much about acting. After the first day, I thought I learned it all, but like now, 2-3 years later, I still feel that way. Each day, like another concept, maybe it's not a concept I learned that day, but it's like some take a while to apply, you know. It's like trying to better yourself as a person, you know. You got to stop doing one habit, you know, but like you tell yourself, you practice it, and then one day it starts happening. And so it's been a really great process there. I started in like acting 1, and then I went into scene study to level 2, and now I'm at their level 3 class. And the scene study is what really taught me the importance of diving into a script, and how that's going to give you all the clues, like all your questions about the character. You know, of course, outside research is always good and always fascinating, but like most of your questions can be answered in the script. The writer took so much time to cultivate this person, you know, and to do little callbacks and little Easter eggs, and it's like our job to find that stuff first, so we can help convey that to the audience. We're kind of that middleman. So what was the question? This happens to me a lot.
It's fine. I mean, it's okay. Don't worry. So the question was that, there you go. That what are some of the things that you learned in HV Studio?
Yes. Okay, I'm glad you got me on track, because, so that's my scene study class. Yeah. And then I want to talk about this workshop that I just did that was amazing, and that I want to like recommend to anyone watching. If they want, because a lot of this stuff is still on Zoom. You know, anybody in the world can take classes there. And I just took this workshop called The Actor's Body, Self-Care and Reimagined Futures. And it was like to get us mentally and physically prepared, because we've been sitting on Zoom, acting in this little box, you know, for so long. And, you know, hopefully, because some of our classes are coming back into person next month. And hopefully, you know, things like that keep happening. And so just how to like get us ready for that. And that, it was only a 5-week course, so like only 5 classes, and things I learned, like totally I'm gonna keep with me for the rest of my life, because like how we were talking about earlier, like having the endurance of being an actor, like it's not all about doing like spending all your hours rehearsing and like auditioning. Like you're gonna get burnt out, and that happens to everybody, you know. this class, this workshop could be not just for actors, for anyone, because it really was just about moving and freeing your vocal cords and sharing stories that what you were dealing with, and notice and having a community like support you through that, and share that they're going through similar stuff. And then what was cool is we also like we were able to choose a piece, like a poem or a song each week to perform, and like things that we wanted to work on, just like in our own life, and we incorporated it, which is a lot more freeing than like usually you have a piece of work and you're like, okay, well I have to make it sound really good, or I have to make everyone laugh here, you know. So to have a piece of work that like the world was never going to see and that I could just work on for myself, like so I mainly act. I don't really sing and dance much anymore, but I did this big singing and dancing number in the class, and it was like so much fun. And maybe now I'll do more of that in my career, because it gave me the opportunity to feel safe doing so.
That's also awesome and deep as well, but that's cool. Wow. Yeah, that's really, I mean, the fact that you are doing what you like the most, I think that is like, no matter what happened, or no matter how stressful, or like all of those moments, you will still enjoy them, you know. And whenever you get those moments in which you can actually like fully enjoy, like when you have to perform or something, I think that is like really, 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 you know, like an awesome feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, no matter what it is, like you said, whether it's acting or whatever someone pursues, like hopefully it's fun, because otherwise why are you doing it? We only live once, you know?
Yeah, totally.
That was a concept that, I remember was like something my teacher said to me on the last day of acting 1, because I was like, it was a arguing like divorce scene, and we're getting so emotional and upset, and he's like, even in the darkest of dramatic scenes, the actor is still having fun, you know, and you can still be invested in a scene, but there's always that undercurrent of like, you know, that you can't. I think there's a misconception that actors have to torture themselves, and you don't have to torture yourself. You know, you can take yourself to vulnerable places, but if you're doing it in a way that supports you, you won't feel tortured after. You will feel like it was a cathartic experience, hopefully, like you worked through something. So I think that is really, that is probably number one, is to make sure you're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have done some comedy sketches for Betches, Bostel, and Elite Daily, and many more on your Instagram. But tell me, what do you like most about comedy?
Well, this is actually a great segue to what I was just saying. It's as far as like those dramatic scenes, because I had such a comedy background and not much drama background at all. That was another reason I started HB Studio, you know, because they're like a theater company, and I wanted like I chose many dramatic roles at first, and that's like what I learned right away. Is like, you know, even in like, you think of like the darkest of movies, like they're taking you down, it's like becoming dark and like scary and sad, but like sometimes your favorite part is like, you know, like the little comedic relief that you get. You need that, you know, you can't just like keep plummeting into the ground. Like you need to keep the story going, as in life, you know, like in life when you're having the worst days, like sometimes, you know, something's gonna pick you back up on the upswing. So finding the comedic moments in like dramatic pieces, and vice versa, you know, that comedy isn't all light and fluffy, that like what's funny is kind of seeing people in peril, you know, sometimes. So they're totally like one in the same experience, just like our lives. But comedy sketches, what's so cool about it is just the whole notion of like, you have an idea, you reach out to people who are interested, you shoot it, and you upload it. And I just think having that streamlined process, that's what got me interested in it originally in college, because like we had a great newspaper and radio station and TV station, and I did all of that, but like, you know, you get a little impatient. You put something, you gotta wait weeks for it to come out. Like sometimes you just want to make something funny, and that's why, you know, I think social media and TikTok's great. I think it's great that people can have a funny idea and have ways to put it out right away and kind of get feedback right away. So all of those comedy series were so much fun. Two of them that I want to mention real quick, Betches, the one I have like a long-standing relationship with the head of the video department there, Brian Russell Smith. He used to work at Elite Daily, then he went there, and then he'd call me in for sketches, and I was like, yes, you know, I want to do more sketches with you. And he just, I won't give too many details out yet, but he's coming out with his first short film, and I'll be working on that with him next month. So I'm really excited to do that because, like I was saying earlier, I've been wanting to dip my toes in being a filmmaker more, you know, and that's kind of what he's doing. So it's cool to be working with people who have a comedy web series background, but now we're trying to do more serious, well, not serious films, but, you know, higher production and just a lot more going into them. So I'm really excited for that. And then I'm starting, just got cast in a web series that I so badly wanted to be a part of. It's called Anna Banana. And they already have their promo out. They have their Instagram account. But I originally auditioned for the Banana. And I love who they casted, but I was like, oh, you know, that stinks. Like, that's a really great series. I auditioned for it months ago. And then they just reached out saying that they could use me for another role. So it's nice to, like, even when you don't get a role, keep those connections. Because I really was like, I love this idea and I love your guys' vibes. And I was like following and supporting the series, you know, happy to have never been on it and just see where it went. And now I just found out I'll get to be a part of that. So we're shooting that at the end of the month.
That's so cool. And you know what's also cool? That you are just giving a lot of exclusives here. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, I like saved them. I was like, this will be great.
Yeah. We just make it rain with the whole exclusives here. I mean, perfect. That's really cool. I'm so glad about that. That's really cool that you get the chance to be like in this many more new projects. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's always nice to have something to look forward to. You know, that's what keeps you from like worrying about lost opportunities or things you want to do better, you know, always like having like the next thing to start working on and getting excited about. Yeah,
absolutely, because I think that it's so easy, right? I mean, it's so easy to get distracted in what you don't have, you know, and you will feel like a little bit down or even maybe like a little sad or depressed. But when you have like those tiny moments, like those small moments in which you get the chance to like you receive like a good news or a new opportunity, pretty much all of that disappears. Yeah,
and I know it's easier said than done, but like because I've worked with so many actors and entertainers at different levels in the industry, it's been really eye-opening. Like I've met people with millions of followers, or I've met people who just were a part of like a big TV show, like things that would make any actor like feel like they made it, like I'm so happy now, and they were like miserable. And then the other flip of the coin, I've met people, you know, who haven't got much opportunity at all, but they're like the most excited to be on set that day, you know, and like put their best foot forward. So I always try to remember that, because I'm like, it doesn't, I know it's like said all the time, you know, like money and fame, well, I can't bring you happiness, but like seeing it firsthand again and again, like really reinforce, like, okay, no number of followers is going to make you happy, no TV credit is going to make you happy. You just have to be okay with what you're working on right now, and if it's not a project, just what you're working on personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Preach on that one.
I'll preach all day.
Yeah. This is, I mean, this interview is getting so epic. I mean, we got exclusive, we got preach moments. I mean, what else? What else would you want? That's cool. Wow. And you know, it is interesting, because I do think the same, and it's pretty much like all about perspective, you know, like, because it's so easy. It's so easy to get distracted by the things that you don't have, or you don't, the things that you don't have. But at the same time, I mean, it's all a perspective about parting with what you have. You know what I mean? That okay, maybe I don't have this career, let's say, at this moment, but I'm gonna reach there, you know. And it's like every step on the way that you're making, that is pretty much building you up and giving you the character to one day reach what you want. Because I think that when we see something like, yeah, like somebody super successful, yeah, we do feel envy, of course, but we don't know how much work that person put into, you know, like we don't know how many nights that person probably didn't sleep, like all of that hard work and that you need to put, and once you put it, you will get the results that you want. I mean, that at the end, I think it's all about perspective and how focused you can be, you know.
Yeah, and we only can do our best, you know. It's like, obviously I would have loved to have like a main role in a TV series, you know, a year or two ago, 5 years ago, whatever, got discovered at the mall, I don't care, I'll take it, you know. I would have, but now seeing how far I've come in these couple short years of like studying acting, I'm like, oh well, maybe that happened for a reason. Like now when I do get that big break, I'll be so much more ready, you know. And yeah, it's funny because we keep getting deep. I was gonna like quote Billy Joel. I'm like, I don't know how far.
There you go.
No,
please. Yeah, please do.
But it just has like one quote that's like something like, "Dream for it all, but don't expect it all to come true." And I just love that because it's like, what it is the drive. You know, it like shoot for the Oscar, but don't be upset if you don't get the Oscar. Not everybody gets the Oscar. That's what makes it the Oscars. You know, so but just the thought that you could be deserving or that you could work towards that one day is bigger than that amazing piece of metal that we all wish we had.
And tell me, in general, what do you like the most about acting?
I love that I can just have the freedom to play, you know, like I feel free in that way in other aspects of my life, you know, when you're with your closest friends that you feel silliest with, or when you're doing high intensity activity you like I really like biking, you know, like highs like that. But with acting, it's kind of, to me, all of that in one. It's like you're able to have these like deep connections with people, and you're able to live people's different lives. Like that's what originally got me to it, because like I said, I first had an interest in broadcasting and journalism. Really all started with, in high school, I made a poster contest and I won. And this lady from the local paper came to my softball practice and was taking pictures of me and interviewed me, and put my article in the paper. And I was like, wow, like, you know, I don't know if it was her decision or editor or whatever, but someone decided that like I was important enough to come, and like it made me feel so great. And it, like what you're doing today, it's making me feel like a celebrity, you know, to like talk about myself and like, and I loved that feeling that gave me, and I was like, I want to do that for people. Like I want to tell people's story. And so that's how it originally started. And I think that's what carries me into acting today, is like, but I love, you know, telling my own stories, but I love telling other people's stories, because that's just another way to get to know them, you know, through the writing. So I think the whole process is so collaborative, which is really cool.
That's epic. That's epic. And my last question here would be, like, any advice that you could give to upcoming new talent? What would you say?
I would say what comes to mind is like befriend anyone you can and ask any question that comes to mind. Like, you know, this industry you know, at least in New York, every time I'm on set, I know someone through someone else now. You know, it's like a whole web of people wanting to create content with each other. So, and some days shoot days can like come and go really quick, you know? So it's like, I think it's important to create and maintain relationships with people you want to create. You know, it doesn't have to be everybody. Oh, you're in the entertainment industry, like, here's my card. No, it's like, who could you see yourself with on another 12-hour day, working on a passion project? Okay, exchange information with that person. And what was my second point on there? It was, and ask questions anytime you can. so many times in auditions or class, you know, like they'll be like, oh, any questions? And I feel like every time I didn't have a question was like a missed opportunity, you know, but the times that I had one, I always found out something cool. Yeah, never. David says, I need advice. David, you're already a star. Thank you. I'm just starting to read the comments. But yeah, I think that, keeping contacts with people you want to, and just always asking questions, because like you're doing, you know, like you're learning, I'm sure, just a crazy amount about the industry, just because you're asking all of these like really cool, intricate questions. And that's sometimes the best way to learn. We were talking about like how to learn earlier if you're not taking a class. Well, you know, I personally love doing background work. I know a lot of people don't, and like sometimes it can get really exhausting, but I love it because you're still on set, you're still learning from people, you're still learning from other actors on your level, and there's always an opportunity to learn on set. So
there you go.
Yeah, there
well,
you go.
Kelley, what can I say? What's up?
It was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a preaching deep interview. Thank you so much for being here, Kelley. I mean, I think that is something that if someone is an amazing super actress, for sure it's you. I mean, I can't wait to see more of your awesome work in the future. For sure, you're gonna get an Oscar, or probably 2, 3, 4, 5. Why not? Probably some Emmy, you know, here and there. You know, why not?
And you too, for like daytime or nighttime talk show TV. I'm calling it for both of us.
Totally, totally. I will definitely, one day, I'm gonna be dressed on a suit and just, you know, have like this talk show. But in the meantime,
one day at a time.
Yeah. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I mean, it was really awesome to meet you and to talk about like your creative process, like what inspires you, like all of that stuff. It's amazing, and I think that is one of the important things that one of the important things here is that you are honest with yourself. You know what you want. You're pretty much pursuing that what you want, and I think that's very inspiring. So that was really, really, really cool. And before I send you off, you know what is gonna happen. So here we go.
Thank you. You really know how to make an actor feel special. Thank you for the red carpet treatment. This has really been a treat.
Always. And thank you so much for those who are watching and those who are listening to this later on the podcast and on the YouTube video. Thank you so much. Make sure that you're following Kelley in all of her amazing job. Normally what I would say is that put pause for a while, hydrate, and then go follow, click the like right now. Go check all of her social media here and there. Leave a bunch of likes as well, and then come back for sure. And then and in the meantime, again, thank you so much. Keep having an amazing rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one then.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Bye, Dan.
Bye.